And he's forgiven me and we've moved past it. Why can't you?
Because you never apologized to me.
This is my favorite Ted and Lily moment. It's not the most endearing moment. I think there's a moment later on that really showcases how vulnerable they can be with each other. But this moment specifically, I think really highlights their relationship. And it's the first time, and I think the only time, that it really focuses on what they mean to each other. The characters on How I Met Your Mother are usually very good about expressing how they feel about their friends. The word best friend gets tossed around a lot. Barney, Marshall, and Ted have this best friend love triangle where they often profess their feelings for each other and they often share that they're each other's best friend. Of course, there's bickering and infighting. And with Robin and Lily, they're also very open in sharing that they are each other's best friend. But when it comes to Lily and Ted, not so much.
She's like my best friend.
Hey, whoa.
Female friend, my best female friend.
Hey, whoa!
I don't care what fake it.
But despite that, I think they have one of the closest and most intimate relationships on this show. So, how did they get to this point? Going back a few months, Lily was engaged to Marshall and then she broke off her engagement a few months before the wedding to go to San Francisco. Lily applied for an art fellowship and on the way to the interview for the art fellowship, she gets a flat tire and she calls Ted. When Ted arrives, and by the way, Ted was supposed to be on a blind date with an amazing girl, but he cancels it to help Lily. And Lily becomes very vulnerable and she confesses to Ted that she's applying for this art fellowship. It's the same time as the wedding. And Ted reassures her that she still loves Marshall and that everything's going to be okay. What's significant about this is that Ted is the first person that she thought of to talk to. Not only did she ask him for help, but she felt comfortable enough in sharing this information. Even though Ted is Marshall's best friend, so she knows that Ted's allegiances are to Marshall, but despite that, she felt comfortable enough and vulnerable enough to be able to share something that's so personal and to share something that she can't share with Marshall. And we kind of do see this throughout the show that when Lily can't share something with Marshall, she does share it with Ted. Later in the day, Ted asks Lily if she took the fellowship and she says that she won't take it. But Marshall finds out about the fellowship, he and Lily have a fight and they break up. Lily runs off to San Francisco. About 2 months later, Lily comes back. And when she comes back, she acts like she's great, like everything is perfect. She tells Robin she's had an amazing time. And Ted clocks right away that she's miserable.
She's miserable. She's realized she's made a huge mistake. Her and Marshall will be back together in a week. I love it.
He knows her so well at this point. It's been 9 years, and he knows when she's miserable, even though she fakes it. Robin hasn't been able to pick it up because she's a newer friend. So we see throughout the first 2 seasons that really Ted might be the closest person to her outside of Marshall. Eventually, Lily and Marshall make up, they get together, and this is where we get to the fight. A few episodes in, they're celebrating Christmas. Lily's putting up Christmas decorations. They find their old answering machine, and on the answering machine, Lily hears a message from Ted to Marshall.
Hey, Marshall, are you lying on the couch right now moping about Lily? You are, aren't you? Well, stop it. She's not worth it. You gotta get over that Grinch.
So Ted called Lily a Grinch, which I believe is meant to be the C word because the word bitch is not usually censored, and I think that the C word has a stronger emotional impact, specifically in the United States. So Lily is incredibly upset because not only did one of her closest friends call her that, but he didn't apologize. And from Ted's end, he was doing his best as a best friend to console Marshall. And so he doesn't want to apologize because he felt it was justified. After talking to the gang, Ted decides to apologize. He brings a mug of beer, which is their tradition. Every time they want to apologize to each other, they have a mug of beer, which is really cute. But unfortunately, Lily took all the Christmas decorations, and I do think that she was absolutely in the wrong for that. She was punishing Marshall as a result of her being upset with Ted. So she takes all the decorations, and Marshall loves her Christmas decorations. She goes back to her apartment. Ted goes to her apartment, and he apologizes.
You think I don't know your fake apologies by now, Ted Mosby? Huh? You're clearly still mad at me.
So she can read him as well, and she knows when he's not being genuine. So they have this familiarity with each other. They know each other so well that they know when the other one is being dishonest. And this is where we get the moment where Ted says that she abandoned him.
Marshall's not the only one you walked out on. You leave for 3 months. You don't even call. Come on, Lily, we're supposed to be friends.
And what I like about this scene is that I think on rewatches, this scene becomes even stronger because we get to see more of their relationship and more of their backstory. And when you think about it from Ted's perspective, you could see how deeply hurtful it must be that they've grown together through some of the most formative moments in their life. They've practically lived together for 9 years. This is a person that he saw every single day. This is a person that he spoke to almost every single morning, every single night, and not just being roommates, but they would then hang out as friends. It's someone that you live with and also spend time with. It's someone that you go from seeing every single day and talking to every single day to not seeing at all. And we see in flashbacks that Ted has liked Lily from the very beginning. When Marshall and Ted are taking their first roommate picture, Ted invites Lily into the photo because he always saw her as part of the group. When Marshall starts dating Lily and he goes on his third date with her and he's questioning whether or not he should still date her, Ted is the one who says, yes, you should. He approved of her from the very beginning. He liked her from the very beginning. To him, she wasn't just his best friend's girl. It wasn't just someone he tolerated. He saw her as a friend. And in the episode How Lily Stole Christmas, we have a very significant flashback scene where Ted and Lily are sitting high on sandwiches and they're just hanging out together alone. And Lily tells him that all she ever wanted was an easy bake oven. And we cut forward 8 years later, and Ted remembers what Lily said. Ted remembered that Lily wanted an easy bake oven. He tells Marshall that he should get it. And it's this moment that makes Lily realize that Ted actually cares about her. And this is what we've always kind of seen throughout their friendship. When Lily found out that her apartment became a Chinese restaurant, Ted was the first one to ask her to move in. He did it without any hesitation. And when they were hanging out back in college, they didn't need Marshall to hang out with each other. It was just the two of them. Marshall went off to a concert, which he couldn't find.
How was the concert? I couldn't find outside.
But it's very significant of the fact that these two would just hang out as friends together and they were so comfortable with each other that there's no awkwardness. But because this relationship is never discussed and never stated, I think it's easy to underappreciate the relationship. It's easy for someone to dismiss it and to think, I'm just the girlfriend of his best friend, but finding out that he remembered what she said so many years ago is a way to really highlight the fact that no, this did hurt him, it did mean something, and this relationship is separate and exists on its own without Marshall. At the end of the episode, Lily goes to Ted's cousin's house with a mug of beer. She apologizes to Ted and they're back together. And I think that this is the only episode that really focuses on what they mean to each other. But it's not the only fight between them. The second biggest fight between Lily and Ted happens in the front porch test. Ted finds out that Lily sabotaged his relationship with Karen by putting a diamond earring in his bed where Karen can find it. Naturally, Ted is very upset. I would be too. I think it's a major violation of trust and boundaries. And then Ted finds out that Lily sabotaged 6 of his romantic relationships. I think that Lily was absolutely in the wrong for this. I understand that there have been some arguments made at the fact that Lily was actually just showing Ted that his relationships were extremely unstable. And personally, I think that the show should have leaned into more of the comedic breakups. So one way that she broke up one of his relationships is by putting a Creed CD in one of the girls' rooms. And by showing that Ted is very pretentious, it kind of showed that this relationship wasn't stable.
Creed? Oh my God, I have to break up with her.
But I feel like this episode really does put Lily and her behavior in a very bad light. And it would have been funnier, or I guess more consistent, if it made it more absurd and comedic, that if all the breakups were based on the fact that Ted can be quite shallow and pretentious, and then that's why he ends up breaking up with people for very shallow and pretentious reasons. But for things like putting an earring in a bed kind of shows that it's just pure manipulation. I could also see myself defending Lily for the fact that she didn't really break up Robin and Ted. She just made them talk about their relationship, and it's something that they were avoiding or not fully addressing to the extent that she wanted to. And she did say herself that she wasn't trying to break them up. She just wanted them to have a conversation with each other. But regardless, it does not justify Lily's actions in this case. But that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on why she's doing it. And I think that it's this principle of enmeshment. This group, Lily and Ted, and this entire group has become so enmeshed and codependent with each other that all boundaries have been erased.
Want to do it again?
Please don't. We said we were sorry.
Yeah, well, then why'd you do it again?
Kevin, Robin's boyfriend, mentions this in one episode, that this group is very codependent.
You're all the most codependent, incestuous, controlling group of people I've ever met!
And I think we could definitely see this in Lily and Ted's relationship. The reason why Lily is breaking up Ted with his relationships is because she pictures her future with him. She does the front porch test. She imagines that when they're retired, she's sitting on the front porch with Marshall and Ted, and they're enjoying their free time together playing bridge. And what's interesting is that when a lot of couples picture growing old with their significant other, Lily pictures growing old with her significant other and Ted. Ted is always there. She sees him as part of her family. He's someone that she wants to grow old with, and so it's very important to her that he's happy and that he's with the right person. It doesn't make it okay, but does really erase the boundaries in their relationship. She doesn't picture Robin or Barney on the front porch. She does picture Ted. And we see this element of enmeshment throughout their relationship. When Ted first moves out to move in with Robin in season 2, Lily and Marshall are at first very excited and happy to have the place to themselves, but they get tired of it super quickly. So as soon as he moves out, they start to miss him.
I miss Ted.
Is it too soon to call him?
They wish he was there. They feel this emptiness, this loneliness. And typically when couples get to move out on their own and not have a roommate, they're usually very happy and excited, but not in this case. In this case, they feel like they lost a part of themselves.
Deep within the Amazonian rainforest, there is a type of tree that only grows around the body of an existing tree. They cannot survive without this tree. It is supported by this tree. Lily, we are that tree.
And even though Ted is not moving away, he's just moving to another part of New York City, but they feel like he's gone and they're so happy and excited to have him back. Eventually, in season 3, we see that Marshall is the one who hits his breaking point and he's the one who suggests that they move out. And we see that Ted feels the same bond and attachment to them. So when Lily and Marshall are moving to Italy and they're packing, Ted starts to feel like he's being abandoned. He sees a beanbag chair as symbolizing himself and he feels like he's being thrown out. We also see that Ted is very overly involved in their relationship. It's very codependent. When Lily is pregnant, Ted is in the hospital. Ted is also going to doctor's appointments. Ted is advising Lily about the pregnancy. He feels he's very involved, and we have flashback scenes of how they would always have Halloween costumes together. It's always the 3 of them. You can't have salt and pepper without cumin. When Lily's in labor, Ted makes a video about Lily being in labor. So again, he's very codependent and meshed in that relationship. And when Lily's delivering and she's in labor, Ted is in the delivery room. And again, this is a sitcom. It was done for comedy, but it really just goes to show the closeness of this relationship that, of course, there's nothing weird about Ted being in the delivery room. Lily's not the one who kicks him out. It's the doctor. So going back to this fight, Lily does end up apologizing because she realizes that she doesn't want to lose Ted. He's too important to her. So she writes a letter apologizing to him. She goes to Karen, explains what happens, and she makes a romantic dinner for Ted and Karen to apologize for her actions. So again, while Lily was absolutely in the wrong for this behavior, I feel like it also really highlights the fact that they are very close to each other and that they have no boundaries between each other. And I don't think it means to suggest that Lily does not root for Ted and his happiness, because when she pictures Robin on the front porch, really the focus is on how miserable Ted is in the future and how that really destroys his happiness. And we do see in the beginning, and this also goes to the bet that Lily and Marshall make in the future about whether or not Ted is going to end up with Robin, but we do see in the beginning that Lily does root for Ted, and she does root for Ted and Robin. When Lily finds out that Ted likes Robin, she talks Ted up to Robin. She helps Robin pick out a dress for Claudia and Stuart's wedding.
The theme of today is Ted rocks, and she's picking up what I'm laying down.
She wants it to work out because she wants him to be happy. At the end of season 1, when Ted decides to do a grand gesture for Robin, Lily is all for it. She's supporting him. She wants it to work out. And when it doesn't work out and Ted finds Victoria, Lily starts rooting for Ted and Victoria. She's very excited for this relationship. She wants it to work. She expresses how happy she is for him. When he's happy and when she sees there's a potential, she's genuinely happy for him. She does overstep her bounds when she doesn't think it's going to work out. Lily also sets women aside for Ted, and she wants to set him up on dates because she does want him to find someone.
Ernie, I've had Shelley set aside for Ted for 3 years.
And something else that I find interesting is that when attraction between friends is discussed on the show, Lily and Ted are rarely mentioned. So in the mermaid theory, Lily lays out the rules for a relationship between a married woman and a single guy. And funny enough, their relationship is never discussed. She does say that as long as Ted is friends with the captain, then that really makes the relationship more okay, that there cannot be any secrets between the spouse. So that kind of clarifies the fact that because their relationship is so out in the open, that Marshall approves of their friendship, there's never any secrets between them, that there's no need to discuss this relationship between Lily and Ted because of course nothing would happen because he's friends with both of them. But then in the episode Platoonish, Barney says that a single straight man and woman can never be friends. But he says that he can only think of one relationship that's in fact platonic, and that's Marshall and Robin. It's interesting that he doesn't say Lily and Ted.
Two people are only platonic if, in the next 20 minutes, there is no chance of them hooking up.
I do think it's an interesting choice for the show not to mention Lily and Ted, and it makes me wonder, is this some sort of way to express the fact that, well, if in a different universe, Marshall did not like Lily and they did not get together, would Lily and Ted be a good match for each other? Because what's interesting is that they're both very flawed characters. They both have their own quirks, they both have their own drawbacks, but because it's so messy, it almost kind of works. In a funny way, Marshall is almost too virtuous and too perfect, and Barney is just a little too imperfect. And Lily is almost like this perfect fit for him as a friend, where she has morals, she has boundaries, she crosses them sometimes, and she's imperfect just like Ted. And so for Ted to have a best friend like Marshall, there almost seems to be an imbalance. Outside of the fights that they've had, we can see very clearly that Lily and Ted have this closeness that kind of feels like a family. They have this vulnerability with each other. They bicker like siblings, and they tease each other like they're really good friends.
And yours is saying,
Oh, Zoe, why can't I be on top just as well?
We take turns. Sometimes.
at least the train will have a 21st century toilet.
You're a 21st century toilet!
And I kind of like the fact that their relationship is so understated. I mean, Lily doesn't get offended when Ted doesn't call her his female best friend. I think she doesn't need it because at this point they are family and they've been so honest with each other, which takes me to my other favorite point, which is their vulnerability. Like I mentioned before, Ted is the first person that Lily thought of when she was going to her art fellowship interview, and she felt very comfortable in sharing how, I guess, insecure she felt about the relationship or how she was having cold feet about the wedding. She felt comfortable talking to Ted. When Ted and Lily are having issues in their respective relationships, so Ted is struggling with Zoe and Lily's kind of struggling with Marshall, they'll feel comfortable talking about it to each other. And then one of the most painful moments, and I think one of the most tear-jerking and vulnerable moments in the show, Lily gives Ted an out. Lily notices the fact that Ted loves Robin and that Ted doesn't want Robin to marry Barney. And she knows that Ted doesn't want to say it. He would never say it because that would mean he's a bad friend. So she helps him out. She lets him express his emotions, and she does that by sharing something very personal and very painful.
Sometimes I wish I wasn't a mom. Sometimes I want to pack a bag and leave in the middle of the night and not come back.
Robin shouldn't be with Barney, she should be with me.
I think it's by far just one of the most emotional moments on the show, and I think that Allison Hannigan is just phenomenal as an actress. Say what you will about Lily, but do not touch Allison Hannigan as an actress. She is good. She knocks it out of the park. Any emotional scene, she's got it. And I think that she absolutely nailed it. And I think it really goes to show the depth of their friendship that she can share this with Ted. And she says that she could not tell this to Marshall, but she could tell this to Ted. And this really does free up Ted to be honest about his own feelings. And that's what a really deep friendship allows you to do, to just be completely open and to face judgment and not be afraid of that judgment because you know how much you care about the other person. And as the show continues throughout season 8 and season 9 specifically, but partially because Jason Segel was less available for season 9, but we really get to see their relationship in season 8 and 9. This is where we get a lot of heart-to-heart conversations between Lily and Ted. Ted tells Lily about how he found the locket for Robin. Ted tells Lily that he's moving to Chicago. She's the first person to find out about it. She's the one who's consoling him. She's the one who's giving him advice. He relies on her for emotional support all throughout season 9. When Robin finds a list of all the things that Ted wants to do in New York before he leaves, Lily covers for him. She is looking out for him. She does want him to find happiness. She's also incredibly sad that he's leaving, but she's there to be his emotional support. And at the very end, when Ted is saying goodbye to the group because he's leaving for Chicago, we see that Lily is completely falling apart. She's very emotional. She's very sad, and she can't handle a regular goodbye because it hurts too much.
I feel like a hug isn't enough.
I do like the fact that this show didn't overhype their relationship, but at the same time showed the closeness. And I think that Lily and Ted embody that very well, except for the fact that maybe perhaps they are a little too codependent. But At the core of it, I really like how they showed the comfort that they have with each other and that it's possible and that exists, and that this depth of a relationship, this idea of a found family exists, and that it all works out. So I guess all I mean to say is that I just really enjoyed their relationship.
Right here.
It helped that was really creepy. I don't want to see you for a while.